lovely people in my computer. I hope you are well today. It is a beautiful sunny day in Sheffield. I hope that you have got some sunshine too. I am starting this new series called Come Be Messy with Me. And if you want to hear more about why I'm doing this series, you can look at some of my last few posts. But very, very briefly, I've had a number of calamities happen in my life in the last 12 months. And I've had a particular calamity happen in the last couple of weeks where I had to have emergency surgery, which was connected to some health issues that I've been having over the last year. And I have lost the sight in my right eye. And obviously this left me in a bit of a mess. And I got to thinking how I could make something good out of this calamity. And I got to thinking about how I was using all of the tools and all of the strategies and all of the skills that I've learned as a life coach from working on myself and working with my clients. I'm using all the things right now. And I thought, how about I share with you in real time how a life coach deals with a crisis? And I've had lots of people come back to me going, yes, mess, we really resonate with the idea of a mess, and we would love to see you in the nicest possible way in a mess and how you deal with that. So here I am. And today, this is kind of the foundation on which everything else is built. This is going to be a bit of a longer video. I'm going to do some teaching in it because I realized that over the last few weeks, I've been writing things down as I go. I've been writing down tools and things that I can share with you. And the middle of last week, I suddenly realized that actually there's something underneath all of those tools and strategies. There is a skill that I have built, a muscle that I have built that underpins everything else that I'm able to do in my life to deal with a crisis. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized that this really is the one thing. It sounds like a kind of used car salesman, doesn't it? Do this one thing and everything will be okay. But truly, it underpins everything that you can do to meet the challenges in your life. It underpins everything that you can do to live a more fulfilling, a more joyful life, a life where you fulfill your true potential, and a life in which you're the person that you want to be and that you experience everything that you want to do. It's not an exaggeration to say that if you are not working on this skill, if you're not building this muscle, you will not be able to do those things. Sure, you'll be able to in some way meet your challenges and live a fulfilling and joyful life, but you will be limiting yourself. I really truly believe this. So this is why I thought I would start with this. What is this skill, you ask? And this skill, this muscle, this is all around awareness. Okay, what do I mean by awareness? It's kind of got two levels to it. On the most basic level, awareness is your ability to be aware in any given moment of your state, of your thoughts, what you're thinking, what's going through your mind, on your emotions, what you're feeling, and even the physical sensations in your body. But there's more to it than that, and this is where we get a bit philosophical. I know it's a Monday, but you can do it. It's the awareness that you are separate from those thoughts and those feelings. You are not your thoughts. You are not your feelings. And I'll tell you why that is so important in a minute. But just to kind of, this is all a bit cerebral, isn't it? And it's only Monday. So let me just do a very simple thought experiment with you to show you what I mean. You know that voice in your head, the voice of your thoughts, the one that is like this all day long. I need to feed the cat. Oh, I really wish I hadn't worded that text in that way that I sent to Julie the other day. I wonder if she's took it this way. And I really wonder what she's thinking about that. Oh my goodness, I'm really not looking forward to the in-laws coming at the weekend. They're always like this and they're going to think this about me. And I'm really worried about the exam that I've got to do in 3 months' time. If I don't pass it, it's going to, you know that voice. You know the voice, yeah, that I mean. Always yattering away. Okay. Right now, in your head, get that voice to say, hello. Yeah? You hear it? Right, okay, just for fun, get it to do it again. Hello, hello, hello. Okay? The voice of your thoughts said, hello, hello, hello in your head, right? When the voice in your head was saying hello, 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 who heard it? Who was listening? That's you. You're not the voice. You're not the thought saying hello, hello, hello. You are the one listening. You're the observer. You're the observer in your life. You're observing your thoughts. You're observing your feelings. You're observing the physical sensations in your body. You're observing all the things that your five senses are bringing into your body. And this is such an important distinction, which we'll talk a little bit about as we go through. Now, we so often get lost in our thoughts and completely, some people actually never realize for their entire lives that distinction between being their thoughts and actually being the observer. All of us get lost in our thoughts sometimes, and our thoughts are really the key to everything. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example to illustrate this. Let's imagine that you are walking home. You're walking down the street and you suddenly see coming towards you a big guy with a big dog on a lead. Okay, you see this person coming towards you and you love dogs. You had a big dog in your family growing up. It's called Barney. He was adorable. You grew up with him. He was a puppy when you were little. You grew up with him. You love dogs. You've been around dogs your whole life. You've got a dog now. You see this guy walking this dog towards you, and you see the dog, and it is a handsome dog. Clearly very well looked after. The guy has really good control of him on the lead. You feel a little uplift in yourself as you see this handsome, gorgeous dog. You have a smile on your face. The dog starts wagging its tail. The dog and the man are coming towards you, and you give the man a little look that's a bit like, may I? And he nods and smiles, and you give the dog a bit of love, and you start talking to the dog, and then the guy says, oh, he likes you, and you start telling him all about Barney, your dog, when you grow up, and he was a bit of a handful, and this happened, and you have this like interaction with the guy, and then you give the dog one last bit of love, and you go on your way saying goodbye to the guy with a bit of a spring in your step. You've had that connection with another human being. You've had the beautiful experience with the dog. There's been lots of research that says touching animals can really help our mental health. And you make your way home. You open the door to your house, and there is your partner, perhaps, or your child. Or perhaps you were just about to open your laptop and have a meeting, or do some studying for an exam, or write a report or something. Whatever your life has in store for you in that moment. Okay, let's rewind. You're walking down the street again. Same guy coming towards you, same dog, but this time you don't really like dogs. You've never had a dog. They kind of scare you. When you were very small, you were kind of a toddler, you were running around the garden just in your pants, and the neighbour's dog, which was just a puppy and quite small really, but to you was the same size as you, jumped up in excitement and scratched down the front of your chest, and you have been scared of dogs ever since. And you've had a number of experiences since then when dogs have barked at you or gone for you, or there's been a nip, and you have just got this fear of dogs. And it's really annoying because people keep saying to you, dogs can sense your fear, you need to like approach them differently. And you're like, well, if I could turn off my fear, then I would. And it's really irritating. So you see this guy coming towards you. The guy looks pretty big. He's not smiling. The dog looks even bigger. Oh my goodness, isn't that like one of those dangerous dogs that you hear about on the news? And you've got a bit of a stress response. Your adrenaline has started pumping through your body. Your heart rate's gone up. You're breathing, and suddenly your mind is whizzing. Like, what am I going to do in this situation? You're looking at your options. Oh my God, what shall I do? You're looking at this dog with fear. The dog is looking back at you like, what? And eventually you're like, I'm just going to cross the road. You make a split-second decision. You cross the road. fearful, you speed up, you're rushing home now, you're feeling a bit annoyed that you had to have this experience and cross the road, starts going through your head. 3 weeks ago you got out of the car and you stepped in some dog shit that was in the street. And dog owners can be so irresponsible, and it's so annoying when they impose on your life like this, and you open your front door and there is your partner, or there is your child, or you've got to open your laptop to do some work or to study for an exam or to join a meeting. Okay, so exactly the same scenario, but two very different ways that it played out. What was the first thing that happened in this scenario? So the scenario is the same. The first thing that is different is the thought. So the first version of you is like, I love dogs. Isn't this going to be a great interaction that I'm going to have? The second one is, I hate dogs. They're scary. And everything comes from that. Now, it's worth noting that those thoughts for those two versions of you have come from your formative experiences when you were a child, things that people have said to you that have given you beliefs and fed into your beliefs. You've probably given attention, like both versions of you have probably been barked at and probably had a dog go for you. But the version of you that loves dogs just sees it as normal dog behavior, doesn't pay much attention to it. The version of you that's scared of dogs puts a lot more attention on that and makes it mean something else. So those thoughts have come from all of your formative experiences up until the date. Then from your thoughts come your emotions, come your feelings. So with the first version of you, you got a great feeling of, oh, look at this amazing pup, this is going to be lovely. From the scared version of you, you got the fear, and you got some physical sensations from that as well. You got the stress response. There are your emotions, and then your emotions lead to actions. So in the first scenario, you kind of go give the dog some loving and start talking to the guy who's walking the dog. In the second situation, your action is to rush home, cross the street and rush home. And it also, if you noticed, engendered more thoughts about how annoying dog owners are and all of that stuff, which gave more feelings. And then there is the outcome. So you've had the thought that's led to the feelings, which led to the actions, which leads to the outcome. So in the first scenario, you have this wonderful connection with a human being. We know that connection's really good for our mental health. You've had this connection with an animal, which is also great for your mental health. And you have gone home and opened the door in a really uplifted state. Now, I don't know how that's going to play out in the rest of the day, but I think it's going to play out quite differently to the person who is scared and who turns up in their life, whether that be to talk to their partner or their child or do their work or their study, in a much more agitated, stressed out, frustrated state. So it's no exaggeration to say that our thoughts, which impact our feelings, then our actions, then our outcomes, our thoughts literally create our experience of the world. They literally create our experience of our lives. So wouldn't it be a wonderful thing if we could be more in control of our thoughts? And that is where awareness comes in. Because if you can be aware of your thoughts in the moment, then you can choose what to pay attention to or how to pay attention to your thoughts. So for example, well, let me just for a second just explain kind of the difference between awareness and attention, because that's also important. Right now, look around the room and find something green. Okay, so over there, I've got some plants that we're just rehydrating over by the sink. So that's my green stuff over there. So at the minute, I'm looking at the plants, I'm giving them attention. Right, so that thing that's green, now look away from that thing that's green. Is that thing that's green still there, right? Yes, my plants are still there. I'm aware that they're still there, but I'm not putting my attention on them. Now look back at the thing that's green. So I'm looking back at my plants. Now I'm giving them my attention. So at the minute, I've got both awareness and attention. If I look away, I've got awareness but not attention. Does that make sense? The difference between awareness and attention. So let's think for a minute. If that the first version of you in that scenario had a great experience, so let's not change it. The second version of you in that scenario didn't have a great experience. So what could you have done about it? So that thought comes up, oh my God, it's a dog, dogs are scary. If you can be aware in that moment that you're having that thought, you can now choose how to give that thought attention, or even if to give that thought attention. So perhaps you're walking down the street, you see the dog, you're like, dogs are scary, flight or fight response, and you just take a breath and go, I'm having that thought again. Maybe you have a look at the dog and the owner again, and you give the owner a smile, and the owner notices that you're kind of like edging towards the side of a pavement, so he pulls the dog in closer to make you feel a bit safer, and you happily walk by the dog. Maybe you still feel like you want to cross the road, but you've caught yourself and you choose not to give attention to the follow-on thoughts about how crappy dogs and dogs owners are, and the dog shit that you stepped in 3 weeks ago. And so even though you've had the experience where you still wanted to keep yourself safe and comfortable, that's cool. It's not that you have to like grit yourself through every challenge. You are turning up back at home in a more calmer state to meet your partner or your child or your work or your study. Does that make sense? So let me just bring this into reality. I've invited you to come be in a mess with me. So let me talk about my current mess. When I had my emergency surgery the other week, what happened was, in the middle of the night at like 2:45 in the morning, I woke up and I knew something was wrong. And I turned the light on and I couldn't see in my right eye, and I knew something had gone very badly wrong. I went to A&E in the middle of the night across town. That didn't work out so well. I ended up in another A&E in the morning, and then I ended up lying on a gurney in a store cupboard all day until suddenly, with a blinding headache, the pressure in my eye was about 3 times the pressure that initially causes concern, so very bad headache. And then suddenly everyone rushed around and did emergency surgery, and I woke up after hours with a patch on my eye, not having any clue what the outcome of the surgery was, what damage had been done, just knowing that I had lost sight in my eye, and I didn't know if there was any possibility of it being fixed. I went home, and in the morning, for the next few days, I'm going to be honest with you, they were dark days. I was aware of my thoughts. My thoughts went to, I'm sure you can resonate with this, my thoughts were firstly like, I don't like this is horrible, I don't like my present moment, but also my thoughts went off into the future, like worrying about what this meant, how was this going to affect my work, how was this going to affect my life, like really like playing out the worst case scenario into the future. Have you ever done that? No, I know you've done it. I know you have. And I was aware of these thoughts because I have quite a good skill of awareness of thoughts, but I'm going to be honest, I couldn't do anything about it. For those first few days, I was just in the soup and I couldn't do anything about it. But it was helpful that I was aware, because it only took a couple of days. I think it was probably day 3 when I just started to feel more like myself. I was able to resource myself a bit better, and then that's when the magic really happened, because I was aware of my thoughts when they started going off on one, and I became able to choose what I paid attention to. Sometimes I chose not to pay attention to thoughts, which doesn't mean squishing them down and like going, oh, I'm not going to think about that. It means saying, oh, I'm having that thought. That thought's not true right now. I'm just going to let it go really nicely and smoothly, you know. Some of the thoughts I had, I chose to actually pay some attention to with curiosity and say, well, isn't that interesting? What's that pattern there? What could I think that would be more useful for me? And I'll be talking a bit more over the coming weeks about like the tools that I use to do that. I'm going to give you another little example. I'm just going to read this comment. Oh, Jennifer. Thank you, Mia. I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. Who is aware of that? That is beautifully summarized. Thank you, Jennifer. So I want to demonstrate for you again the power of thought, right? I don't really want to do this because this is going to be uncomfortable for me, but I'm going to do it for you right now so that you can see it, and I'm sure that you can resonate with this. I have successfully kind of got myself out of the horrible worrying about what's going to happen in the future thoughts. Apart from, there's this one thought that occasionally pops up for me. And that thought is that my other eye, because of the health condition that I have, my other eye is also starting to deteriorate. And at some point, the same thing will happen to my other eye. Hopefully not the emergency bit. Hopefully this one will be a bit more controlled. And I will need surgery on this eye as well. And the surgery is doable, but it's complex and risky. And there is a risk that I could lose the sight in my left eye as well. And at the minute, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do anything about my right eye. Probably not. So I have this thought, what if I go blind? Okay, even as I say that, I'm starting to get this tight feeling in my chest, and I'm starting to get that, I don't know how you feel it, but I get like this warm feeling in my head, like that I know is going to kind of comes when you're getting emotional. The big trigger for me is I start thinking, I'm not going to be able to see my son's face as he grows up. Whew, can you hear me already? Right, I've got tears in my eyes. That is how powerful a thought can be. So I'm just gonna breathe that one out. I'm choosing in this moment, I'm aware that I'm having that thought because I'm doing it as a demo for you. That's how ridiculous and powerful thoughts can be. I've actually just said this thought for the purposes of this video. It's not even come into my head. So I'm very aware it's just a thought. My heart is actually racing, so I'm just going to take a few deep breaths. I find this very comforting, so I'm just going to do this for a second. Did you see how the thought instantly brought up this incredibly strong emotion for me and an incredibly strong bodily response? Now that actually made all manner of very damaging hormones start working around my body, which are going to impact on my ability to heal and my physical health. So that is how powerful your thoughts can be. And that is how powerful being aware and being able to let go of those thoughts. Because that thought about me going blind in the future, that could happen. It's a possibility. A whole bunch of things could happen in the future. The fact is, it's not happening right now. So my body doesn't need to have a stress response right now. It doesn't need to have an emotional response. I need to live my life with my son that I have right now, rather than worrying about what could happen in the future. So that's how powerful it is. Okay, I think I've demonstrated that. If you have any questions about anything that I've said today, please pop them in the comments. So what do we do about this, right? If we can have awareness in the moment of our thoughts and the fact that, as Jennifer says, I am not my thoughts, then we can choose what to pay attention to, how to pay attention to. We can let go of things if we want to. We can be curious about things if we want to. You can literally define and control and create your experience of this world and your experience of this life. I got a big response from that, just from saying that. How powerful is that? Don't let that nagging, annoying, constantly chattering voice in your head run the show. You run the show, the listener, the observer, you run the show, okay? So how do you develop this skill of awareness? This is the big thing, isn't it? There are a number of ways you can do this. I'm going to give you some options and I want you to choose one to practice, okay? So the very first thing you could do really simply is you could just practice during the day, pulling yourself back from your thoughts and saying, oh, I'm curious, what am I thinking right now? What am I feeling right now? what physical sensations can I feel in my body? I am terrible at remembering to do this kind of thing. So if you're like me, you could set some reminders in your phone to do it every so often during the day. You could put a post-it like on the bathroom mirror, so every time you go to the bathroom you do it. You could put a post-it on the door, so every time you go through the door. You could put a post-it on your steering wheel, so every time you get in the car, you just take a moment and say, what's going on with me right now? Another really great way to do it is, of course, meditation. Now, let me talk to you about meditation. I think most of us know by now that meditation is this amazing tool. We've all heard about it. There's been tons of scientific research to show how beneficial it is for our mental health. And yet, I know that even though a lot of us know that, a lot of us aren't doing it or aren't really committing to it. And I know that. I want to tell you my experience of it because I feel like some of you might resonate. I have a monkey mind, okay? If I sit down to meditation, I have this lovely idea that I'm going to sit down and have this clear, calm mind, and I'm constantly like, my thoughts are going ping, 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 ping. And I haven't seen an awful lot of progress in that in meditation. But what I have realized is that I had the wrong idea about meditation all along. I thought that the goal of meditation was to work towards getting a clear and calm mind so that you can sit down for 5, 10, 30, 60 minutes and you would sit there in zen-like calm, being able to not have any of these thoughts, or at least if they pop up, just let them go beautifully. And wouldn't that be wonderful? And you know what, that may well be a great goal of meditation, and maybe over time that will happen for me. But what I have realized is that there is something much more important going on in meditation, and that is every time you realize that you've got distracted. So, sorry, let me go back 1 second. If anybody doesn't know how to meditate, there are lots and lots of different ways. Very simple way to meditate. Close your eyes somewhere you're not going to be interrupted, and just focus on your breath. Natural breath in and out. And whenever you realize you've been distracted, you go, oh, I'm thinking. And you notice you've got that awareness. You notice, oh, well, that's a thought. That's not me. I'm hearing my thought. I'm the observer. That's my thought. And I'm now going to let it go. I'm going to let my attention go from that thought. The beauty of meditation is it gives you tons and tons and tons of practice of awareness, and it gives you tons of practice of recognizing that you're separate from your thoughts, that you're the observer to your thoughts. And the great thing is, if you've got a monkey mind like me, you get even more practice. Isn't that great? So the monkey mind is actually an advantage in this case. Let me just read Jen's. Had a yoga teacher suggest P for peace? Yes. Every time we go to the loo could be our chance to slow down and check in. Yes, I love that. P for peace. I'm going to put that on a post-it and put that in my bathroom. It's going to confuse my husband and son, but I love it. So meditation, I really recommend it. It could just be 5 minutes. You don't have to sit there for 60 minutes saying Om. Like 5 minutes would give you, if you've got a monkey mind like me, would give you ample practice of recognizing awareness and moving your attention. Other things, I was thinking about how I have developed this. Now, bear in mind that I am a coach. I coach. The whole point of a coach, in a way, that the very purpose of a coach is that a skilled coach can see your unconscious thought patterns, your beliefs, your model of the world. So I do that for my clients. I have 2 different coaches that I work with who do it for me. So I have a very constant reminder every week of paying attention and having that awareness of what my thought patterns are and challenging my beliefs. So I'm very lucky in that way. So if you've got a coach, that will be brilliant for you. Same with therapy. It's very different, but often A therapist will bring the same attention to your thought patterns. Even something like a personal trainer who gets you thinking about your physical sensations in your body. Any kind of I do a lot of kind of retreats and practices and go to events where people ask kind of coaching questions. I go to cacao ceremonies, for example, where the wonderful woman, Jasmine Chu, who leads them, asks a lot of questions. Journaling is another great thing for being really aware of your thought patterns. So those are some ideas for how you can build your awareness muscle. I invite you to choose one of those methods now. Please, please, if you're not doing one of these already, please choose something now. As I say, building your muscle of awareness will honestly allow you to create your experience of this world. It's something very special. I'm not going to lie, it's not going to give you immediate results. You're not going to meditate for 5 minutes later and then suddenly be aware of all your thoughts during the day. It doesn't work like that. But I promise you, if you just do 5 minutes of meditation, 5 minutes of journaling, if you just go to speak with a coach, go to a therapist, go anywhere that kind of has some inquiry about your thought processes and patterns. If you just do this little and often, you will discover over time, it might take a few months, but just over time, suddenly you will find yourself at various points during your day just catching yourself. I now catch myself even when I'm really pissed off and angry at somebody and I'm right in the like red faced heat of the moment. There will be a point after a few seconds where I'll be like, oh, I'm really pissed off. This is just a fleeting emotion. This is just a thought pattern. Honestly, I find it quite annoying because at the time I'm feeling really self-righteous and I want to be angry and pissed off at the person. And I'm like, I really wish my conscious brain wasn't kicking in. But that's what will happen to you. You will start finding that your awareness naturally kicks in, and that will never go away. If you build this muscle with some practice every day, that will never go away. And this will be something that you have for the rest of your life, helping you to create the life that you really want. So please choose something. Let me know in the comments what you've chosen. This isn't supposed to be an advertisement for coaching, but I am a coach. If you want coaching, just DM me and ask me. We can have an initial conversation. Speak to your therapist about this. Speak to any, go to a cacao ceremony or a meditation retreat or a yoga day or whatever comes up for you. Let me know what you got from this session, what thoughts you've got, what you're going to commit to, how it's resonated with you. And I really hope that you have a wonderful time building your awareness and creating the life that you really deserve. Okay, thanks for joining me today. I will see you again soon.